Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Stephen Freid. My guest for today is Jasmyne Boswell, and she is someone who's been quite iconic on Maui for her writing skills. So we've been wanting to have her on the show, and here she is. Welcome to the show, Jasmyne.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. So I've known you as a writing coach here on Maui for many years. How's that evolved for you?
Well, I started out actually doing a lot of editing and coaching, and that was very rewarding. And I got to know people in Maui because when I first came here 7 years ago, I only knew one person on the island.
You like me too, same thing.
Yeah. So it was, it was a great way to meet interesting people because interesting people write because they're writing something interesting about their lives. So I did a lot of editing, a lot of coaching. I also have a marketing background. So I write copy for people's websites and brochures and, help them write blogs and articles and so forth. And then I had a 2.5-year column with the Maui Weekly.
The Maui Weekly is the one that Joe Sugarman used to own? Or is that the...
I think it is. And,
yeah.
And now, I forget her name in the moment, but...
Yeah, I know which one.
Yeah. So that was that little
Weekly
newspaper. And then there were a number of people who came to me that really weren't looking for a one-on-one, they were looking for more of a class format. So then I started teaching classes, and those took off tremendously well. I mean, very small, intimate classes.
People really want to write, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, people really have this innate feeling that they want to tell their story.
Yeah, and they love having them listened to. I mean, at first it's like frightening. It's like anything, you're performing. You're spilling your guts out in front of people you don't know. But what the beauty of the classes were, we'd get a group of, like, say, 6 people, because I have small classes, and they would bond. And so they took 6-week session after 6-week session, and this would go on for maybe a year. And they'd all be there, and a lot of them finished their memoirs and, published them. And so that was very exciting. And then I started teaching at the college also. And,
so this whole process is very intimacy building, it sounds like.
It really
You're
is.
working with people, you're really, in a way it's a writing workshop, but it sounds like it's a transformational workshop.
It is very transformational, and also, besides being transformational in terms of them writing their own, stories, there's a way that they become more intimate with themselves. Because divulging your story, and like anything, writing has its own evolution. So you think you know what you're going to write, but as you're writing, something else comes forward that you're sometimes not even prepared for.
Wow.
So it's been great, and I've been able to screen all my best friends right from the class. So that's been wonderful too.
Oh my God. So tell me, you've talked a little bit about it, but expand a little bit more so people really understand. How is it that you work with clients?
Oh, great, thank you. Well, everybody's different, so everybody gets a little different treatment. But some people come to me, mainly they're very good writers, but what they need is someone to help them through their blocks and to brainstorm. So I'm doing less with their writing than with the material in more of a verbal sense. So we get together once a week, or we do it over the phone or Skype, because I work all over the United States and the different islands. And then we work on that, then they go back and they write. And then the next week it might be the same thing, or maybe we're on a 2-week basis, depending on how much time they have to write. So that's one type of person. The other person is a great storyteller, but isn't a very good writer. And what I like to say is writing has rhythm. There's
What
a
does that mean,
certain-
writing has rhythm?
There's a certain pacing to writing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way that if you have a word that doesn't belong there or is out of context with, with the way you've written everything else, it's like a discord. So I relate it to music a lot. Because if it has rhythm, your reader is, just reading through the material and it's keeping them going, and everybody wants a page turner.
Right.
So, and even memoirs, they're the life stories, they're what we're made up of.
Yeah.
So it's to teach them how to create dialogue so that, like say you're writing about your brother. Well, if you tell me what your brother says, it's one thing. If you give your brother the dialogue so that I get his personality coming through there, then I'm getting to know him as well as you. And then the story really blossoms. So it's characterization, it's staying on the theme, because every memoir, a memoir, unlike a biography, a memoir is a slice of life. It's something that really, a turning point in your life, or something that is worthy to write about. Not, a lot of stuff, our daily life, that would go in an autobiography.
I see. So just to categorize, so a memoir isn't the same as an autobiography.
No.
It's a slice of life.
Yeah, and a potent slice
potent
of life.
slice of life.
Yeah. Which is what makes it really, really viable.
I see.
Really
I see.
juicy.
I see.
And exciting because we take one of those slices of our life that has great meaning. Maybe it transformed, maybe it changed our life. And that's what people are writing about. Maybe the trip, abroad that changed their viewpoint totally, or a spiritual experience that changed their way of looking at life and living life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But even someone who doesn't consider themselves a writer,
Yeah.
there's a way that we were chatting about before that even they can get a memoir done because of technology today. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, I just want to say anybody can write a memoir today based on this new technology, because you can speak your story through, there's Dragon Speaks, Dragon Home, they have now all these different versions of Dragon, where you can speak it into an email, into a document, and then give it to somebody like myself, and together we can go over it and make it into a book form. So
is that kind of like a ghostwriter? Are you kind of like a ghostwriter in that case?
No, I used to ghostwrite for art. When a lot of my marketing clients wanted to get articles in their trade magazines, and they didn't have the time, so I did that. But ghostwriting someone's life, I don't want to do that. This is because you're telling the story. You're not giving me tidbits and then telling me to write the story.
I see.
So with this new technology, I'll interview the person. And through that, they'll tell their life story through this, what would it be called?
Transcription?
Well, the transcription comes afterwards, but they'll tell it through this recorder.
I see.
It's like a recording, and it's all there. And then it's going back and finessing it. So, like doctors, lawyers, housewives that just don't have the time to, because writing can take over.
Oh my God.
The book that I wrote was one of the most enjoyable times of my life. I mean, to have that kind of focus and that kind of creativity come through you, it's like nothing else.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else.
I can imagine this kind of really consumes your whole day. You're thinking about it. It must be an amazing process.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you find your rhythm. My writing was first thing in the morning. Some people write after everybody goes to bed. That's their time.
That would be my time.
But yeah, but you find your rhythm with it.
Well, that goes into my next question about your book. You wrote a book. What is it? What's it about?
It's called "What If the Problem's Not the Problem."
What if the problem is not the problem? Okay.
I have to get used to your technology.
That's right.
And it's really, I was in a spiritual teaching for 4 years on the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
After the first year, I moved here, and I would go back for the other teachings. And at the end of that, I realized that there were 4 particular practices that changed my life, completely changed my life. And it took a while to digest it, and about 1.5 years after, I was out of the course, I decided this is something that I need to write. It's one thing to write a book and think you're going to make a bestseller. It's another thing to have have it in you that you need to write this book. And that was kind of it with me. And it's on Amazon. It's on Island. It's at Mana in Paia. It's in collections up in Makawao.
So this book can be gotten at Mana. It can be gotten at Mana in Paia, Collections in Makawao,
and Mandala Arts.
Mandala Arts, and on Amazon.
Yeah.
They just put in Amazon. What if the problem is not the problem?
Or my name.
Or your name.
Or my name, Jasmyne, which is Jasmyne. And or you can get it straight from my website, which is jasmineconsulting.com.
So that's the best way for people to
Yeah, because
check.
there's an Amazon little link right on there that'll take them right through it.
So jasmineconsulting.com.
As long as you spell the Jasmine with a Jasmyne.
Jasmineconsulting.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you love most about what you do? What do you love most? I mean, you've talked about, how this kind of, the work you're doing, it brings out so much juice in people. So I'm just wondering for you, what is it that really lights you up about what you do?
For some reason, I love inspiring people.
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing what I love to do ignite somebody else. So in my classes, or when I'm, coaching one-on-one, and somebody reads something of theirs, and the whole class is giving them feedback, or when I hear something from a client, and I get chills. Sometimes it's the way it's written, sometimes it's what's written, but it's like inspiring people to do what they love to do and to feel creative, and I think that's it. I really love inspiring the creativity in others because it took me a long time to find my creative edge, like what did I love to do creatively, and once I got it, I was on fire with it. Oh, and I like to see that fire burn in other people and have them come with that satisfaction. Because like many people that I've coached now and from my classes have published. And I know what that felt like when I published. This book was my first solo book. I did one other book with a colleague, but when it was just my own baby. And seeing what they go through and the joy that they get from it. It's exciting.
I guess in some way not unlike birthing a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people, of the very first woman whose book I actually edited for her, she said, "Oh, it's like you're my midwife." So, yeah.
So if you want this wonderful woman to be your memoir midwife, just came up with that one, JasmyneConsulting.com.
Right.
And Jasmyne again, spell it?
Jasmyne.
Consulting.com.
And just as a side note,
yeah.
I also work with people on novels and nonfiction.
Ah, there you go.
But we just happen to speak of my memoir.
Okay, full purpose.
Full purpose.
All right, well, thank you very much for being on the show today. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it for this episode of Life on Maui. The last one I'll be doing for a little while. I'm back to Thailand for a spell. But I'll be back on Maui doing more episodes. And until then, have a great one and aloha.
me crazy, but I'm never giving up my